Today, inshallah, we have our prophetic prayers program as usual. Before we begin, anyone remember the dua from last week? Once, twice. No one from the dua from last week? So a big component of our deen, of our religion, is that we learn to implement. We learn to implement. We will not just acknowledge the vision. We want to try to memorize, implement, inshallah.
I think last time you were saying about the tasawwud, right? The dua is the tasawwud.
Yes, at the end of the
Yeah. So, اللهم إني أعوذ بك من
العذاب
اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب القبر وأعوذ بك من عذاب جهنم وعذاب فتنة المسيح الدجال.
من الفتنة المحيا
والممات
ومن فتنة المسيح الدجال.
ومن فتنة الموتى والمقام.
I'm going to give you notice, inshallah, next week we're going to go over all the ad'iyah that we've covered. So I will send a paper out with all of them. Inshallah, if we can come and memorize, inshallah, by next Thursday, inshallah, so you can implement and benefit from them. Today's dua, Allahumma ighfirli warhamni wa'afini wahdini warzuqni. It's a very comprehensive and powerful dua. But before we go into that, I want to ask, when you go for sajda and then you sit down, before going to the sajda, do we say anything? Yes. What do we say?
اللهم اغفر لي وارحمني واهدني وعافني واذكرني وارزقني.
Good. What's that? So this is another dua that is the sunnah. That's also acceptable. What most scholars agree upon, what is obligatory, is to say Allahumma ighfirli at least twice. At least twice. Allahumma ighfirli, Allahumma ighfirli. This is another variation that you can say. It is authentically reported that the Prophet ﷺ used to say. Inshallah, we'll begin by repeating it. You repeat after me. Allahumma ighfirli warhamni wa'afini wahdini warzuqni. One more time. Allahumma ighfirli warhamni wa'afini wahdini warzuqni. It means, oh Allah, forgive me, have mercy on me, guide me, support me, protect me, and provide for me. This dua comes from the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas where he said, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقول بين السجدتين اللهم اغفر لي وارحمني وعافني واهدني وارزقني. وفي رواية أخرى he added the word وارفعني, elevate me. So Ibn Abbas he narrated that the Prophet used to say between the two sajdas, oh Allah, forgive me, have mercy on me, grant me wellness and safety, guide me, provide for me, and in another riwayah he added, and raise me in rank, elevate me. Alright, these variations of this hadith and this terminology can be found in Abu Dawood, Ibn Majah, and Tirmidhi rahimahumullah. They are compilations of hadith for those that want to do further studies, inshallah. To begin with, a little bit about Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. He was, as we know, a cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How so? He was the son of Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, the uncle of the Prophet alayhi salam, and he was also, I don't think most people know, the nephew of one of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who is that? Which wife is the aunt of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu? It is Maymuna bint al-Harith radiallahu ta'ala. Alright, so one of the wives of the Prophet her nephew is none other than Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He is what scholars agree upon as the greatest mufassir to walk this earth. Why? Because the Prophet said on the Day of Judgment, he will hold the flag of the mufassirun.
He is the most senior scholar of commentary on the Quran out of all of them. And this is why you'll find that the companions, may Allah be pleased with them all, would unanimously, when it came to interpreting Quran, they would go to none other than Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. And because of this, actually, to this day, there exists writings of his commentary on the Quran. Writings of his commentary on the Quran. So a little bit about this dua. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhuma, he said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say this dua between the two prostrations, meaning he sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say this supplication when he sat briefly between the two prostrations. So first and foremost, before diving into the hadith, we learn from this, this teaching, this incident, that you're not to rush when you come up from the sajda and go right back. Spend some time. And we know this from other teachings of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said that we should not change positions until our bones reach a level of tuma'nina, which is like settling, a level of comfort, where sometimes when you go for ruku', your hamstrings, or is that what they're called? The thigh muscles, they burn a little bit. But if you stay in that position long enough, that burning leaves. You get comfortable. You settle. Right? So this is the method of the positions in our prayer. Right? In the same way, when you come from sajda, the purpose of prayer is not for you to be breathing heavily. It's not a race. No one should be chasing you. Yeah? So when you come up from sajda, you sit comfortably and you spend time. Like we said, the ulama said what is obligatory is to say Allahumma khfirli at least twice. At least twice. And the proof for that, the Prophet ﷺ said, as we said many times before, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. The prayer, it is only done in the manner the Prophet ﷺ did it. There's no other prayer. You can't say you're praying, your prayer is better than the Prophet ﷺ. We have to pray as he prayed. Alright? That's why then everything he said and everything he did, every movement he made, every pause he made, that is what consists of salah. And we must emulate that. We must copy that and practice that as well. The ulama argued that this requirement of saying the Allahumma khfirli, or this dua that we're learning today, there's no difference between the fariḍah, the obligatory prayers, and the sunnah. Right, so either or, you should also say it as well. Because of the reason that salah itself, consists of three things, which are Quran, dua, and dhikr. This is all salah is. Quran, dua, and dhikr. Alright? Let's break down the dua, inshaAllah. When we say Allahumma ghfirli, it literally means, oh Allah, forgive me. Meaning, the scholars explain, oh Allah, cover me. Oh Allah, pardon me. Without holding me to account, without having any blame on me. Right? When we say irhamni, it means have mercy on me, meaning give me some of the mercy that you have reserved to expend or to spend on your slaves. Right? What does that mean? Rasulullah ﷺ said Allah created 99 units of mercy. 100 units of mercy. And He sent down 1 unit to the life of this world. That is from its beginning to its end. And He will collect what remains of it to spend the rest of it on the Day of Judgment. What you're asking for here is that rahmah. You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant me from that rahmah that you reserved to spend on us. That you plan to spend on us. You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cover your faults. Kullu bani Adam khatta'un. Every one of us we sin. Every one of us we do bad. There's no one here free of blame, yeah? No one here that doesn't make mistakes. If you haven't made a mistake in your life, raise your hand. That's what I thought. We all did, right? So cover our faults. Cover them. Make it seem like we never did them. And only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do this. You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to spare you from any form of punishment, in this life or the next. There is punishment in this life. وما أصاب من مصيبة إلا بما كسبت أيديكم ويعفو عن كثير. God says, and nothing happens to you of hardship and adversity and difficulty and hurt and harm in this life except that it is because of what you have done yourself. And much is pardoned. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't punish you according to what you deserve. He just lets you taste a little bit. So none of it. You don't want any punishment, whether in this life or the next. And you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from His rahmah, it is to grant you bounty, blessings, right, and favors, and benefit. Right? So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower you with these bounties, blessings, favor, and benefit in this world and the next. When we say afini, when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're asking Him for wellness and safety. What does that mean? To grant me safety, as the scholars explain, in at least 3 areas. To grant me safety in my religion. From what? From sins and from misguidance. I don't want that to afflict me. It can. And if it afflicts me, not everybody wins. Think about how many people you know they were the strongest of Muslim, and today they may not even be Muslim. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. So you must ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that safety in your religion from sins and misguidance. Also, the scholars explain to ask for safety in your body. From what? From illness and disease, incapacity. Right? A sign of Allah's love for you is that He enables you to do good. But if He afflicts you with sickness and illness that prevents you from doing good, right, that can very much be construed as something preventing you. You don't want that. Many of the companions, they used to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah, afflict me only so that it may expiate my sin, but not incapacitate, not prevent me from being able to do good." Right? So we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for safety from illnesses and diseases, especially the ones that incapacitate us. And keep in mind, we're not only talking about the physical, tangible illnesses and sicknesses. We're also talking about the sicknesses of the heart. How many of us have heard of, or وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, experience the idea when it's time to pray and we sit and we don't want to pray? It's a sickness of the heart, ya ikhwan. You know you have to pray. You know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded you, yet you choose not to. You choose to delay. You choose to skip. For whatever reason. That's a sickness of the heart. And there are many more sicknesses of the heart. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by saying this to protect us from that. And the third area is the sickness of the mind. How so, brothers and sisters? To protect us from idiocy. To protect us from insanity. To protect us from incapability. How many people you know lived a normal life, and then all of a sudden a flip was switched and they've lost all their marbles because of one thing or another. We can justify it because, for example, they might have gotten divorced, or they might have went through a traumatizing situation, or X, Y, and Z. But the thing is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed that to happen. You're asking Allah Azza wa Jalla, don't allow that to happen to me. Protect me from such a fate. When we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ihdini, or to guide me, our scholars teach us that there are 2 types of hidayah, 2 types of guidance. The first is the guidance to the path of the truth. And this happens to the Muslim and the disbelievers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained in Surah Al-Fussilat how He guided the people of Thamud, right? There were some people in that qawm, they were guided people. Then the second type is guidance to success and towards acceptance, right? This only occurs to people who are people of Iman, people of faith, and that is the meaning that is intended in this particular dua. So when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us, we mean guide us towards the truth and give us istiqamah, give us the ability to be steadfast upon it, to be firm upon it, to stand firmly upon guidance. Sometimes we say we are Muslim, we say we are believers, we say we are guided, but then we're put in situations and predicaments where it's really testing. And we show such shame and embarrassment at being guided. How does someone make that make sense? You're guided, you're on the right, you have the truth, but you're ashamed and embarrassed to stand firm and tall with your truth and your guidance. Make it make sense for me, brothers and sisters. So you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that type of guidance. Steadfastness after knowing you have the truth. And finally, when you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, urzuqni, you ask Him to provide for me. Meaning, give me rizq, give me provision, give me sustenance that will free me from the need of any of makhluqat, of any creation. You want to be free of anyone, even if you have an employer, even if you have a boss, even if you have someone paying every single bill you have. You're not in need of him. You understand with absolutely no doubt, and you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place that solace, that contentment in your heart, that this provision that's coming to me, it is from Allah ta'ala and Him alone. And that whoever it comes from or wherever it comes from, it is just the tool of God. That person that gave it to me, that person that helped me, the institution that provided for me, it is not the provider. It's not the sustainer. It's not Allah ta'ala. It is the tool of God. Right? So I don't need them, I only need God. When I wake up every day to work, I wake up asking from Allah, not from my employer. I wake up expecting from Allah, not from my employer. My employer is just the means, brothers and sisters. You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide from when He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْسُطُ الرِّزْقَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and Allah opens His hand of generosity, of rizq, to whomever He wants. What this means, scholars of tafsir explain, this means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives with no counting, with no accountability. Like you and me, when we give, we start to calculate and see how much can I afford to give, how much can I part with now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from His kingdom, He gives. Right? This is what you're asking for, that vast provision. Right? Rizqun wasi'ah, vast provision. From the kingdom of God, give it to me. In this life and the next. And the next. What is the rizq of the akhirah? It is Jannah. It is rank, darajat in Jannah. Which is why in the other riwayah, He also added warfa'ni. And elevate me in rank. Raise me in rank. What does that mean? Make me higher. Make me better. What is it that Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to say? Allahumma ja'alni khayran minni. Make me better than what other people think of me. When your rank with Allah Azza wa Jalla is raised, even your enemies respect you. They won't dare to raise a hand or open their mouth against you. So seek that elevation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just before we leave, a few key points to keep in mind. We must sit briefly between the two sajdas, and you can say the dua like we said, Allahumma khfirli, Allahumma khfirli, or be a variation of it. Obviously, what we've always said, the best things to say are the things that the Prophet ﷺ said. That is the best words. You cannot say better than that. So, you can say Allahumma khfirli, Allahumma khfirli. He said that one time. You can say this dua, Allahumma khfirli, warhamni, wa'afini, wahdini, warzuqni, warfa'ni, wajburni. There's other variations. But make sure that you spend time. There are many ahadith, by the way, that describe the Prophet ﷺ sitting between the two sajdas. So don't rush. Don't rush. There are many hadith explaining the prayer of the woodpecker, the one who pecks the ground. And this prayer is not accepted. Not accepted. Don't be that prayer. Don't be that kind. Understand it is obligatory to make the dua, at least Allahumma khfirli, Allahumma khfirli, because the Prophet ﷺ did it. And then understand that if you do not say this dua today, it is not required, it is not necessary. So don't think your salah is invalid. Allahumma khfirli, Allahumma khfirli suffices. Any questions, comments?
I mean, I'm just asking about the Arabic and the translation even below it. There are done in Arabic, right?
Yeah.
But in English, we see that there are 6 things, like protect me. Protect me is something like Okini, right?
Yeah.
So it's not there.
That's from another riwayah. Jazakallah khair. That's a good point, mashallah. Any other questions, comments? Inshallah, we'll repeat it 3 times. For those online as well, Allahumma ighfirli warhamni wa'afini wahdini warzuqni. Again, Allahumma ighfirli warhamni wa'afini wahdini warzuqni. One more time, Allahumma ighfirli warhamni wa'afini wahdini warzuqni. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to implement this dua in our prayers and accept it from us. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum.